One of the reasons why I like to include a lot of different extensions in my voicings is I like a really lush sound, generally. You know, when I'm looking at a C major chord, I'm actually really thinking the whole scale. I'm thinking all 7 notes, and I'm thinking about which of these 7 do I want to include. And the more I include, the lusher it gets. But then also, on the downside, sometimes the less clarity you get. You know, if this is my chord, you know, there really isn't a lot of clarity. But yeah, if I were to play a melody, like Ode to Joy, for instance, you know, like, right? The more notes there are, the less melodic clarity you get on that note. So there's also a downside sometimes to playing a lot of extensions. But that being said, for my style, I really like it. You know, I tend to play 5 or 6, sometimes 7 unique notes in a chord at a time. If I'm playing A minor voicings, you know, I really like this. That's a cool sound. I like this, I like this, I like this, this. You know, I also like smaller voicings like that. Or sometimes really small, sometimes just that, or that, you know. And again, I'm thinking about the entire scale, right? If it's A minor, you know, I'm thinking about these 7 notes, and I'm just thinking about which ones I want to include in that sound, you know. Some people think that, you know, the 3rd and the 7 are like the strongest principal tones, right? The 3rd is telling you whether the chord is major or minor. That's the biggest harmonic distinction we have. And then the 7 is further describing that minor chord in this case, whether it's a minor 7 or a minor major 7, which is like a whole different thing. So if you have the 3rd and 7, that's really important. Then after that, you know, I've got these other notes, these 4 notes. So, and then I'm just thinking about which of those I would like to include to further describe my harmony, you know. What are extensions anyway? Extensions are more information. It's more descriptive when you start to add that 5th, 6th, or 7th note to the chord. And the more you describe a chord, the more specific you get about what key it's actually implying. For instance, if I'm in the key of C again, and I'm playing a E minor chord, right? If I play a natural 9 on that, I'm starting to play some information that's not in that original 7-note palette, because I'm playing something that's kind of implying maybe a G major sound or a D major sound. We actually don't know whether this is a G major sound or a D major sound. We won't know until I clarify whether it's a natural 13 or a flat 13, which would give it like a G major sound. If I just play an E minor like this, well, this could actually be in D major, this could be in G major, or this could be in C major, technically. It depends on what the extensions are, you know. So, yeah, when I'm coming up with these chord changes, I like to think about that sometimes. It might be wise at this point for me to mention that when I come up with these chord changes, I'm actually not really thinking theoretically. That's something I did a long time ago. You know, when I'm doing this, you know, I'm not really thinking too much about, oh, I can da-da-da. You know, I thought briefly, oh, it might be cool to go to the key of D flat, but everything in between that was more done with my ears. However, the theoretical part I did, you know, 4 or 5 years ago, and was thinking a lot about what happens if I play this extension. Well, then it's going to imply this key, which is X far away from that, and maybe if I did like this, or if I left out that natural 9 in that E minor chord, then it'll sound more like a C major sound, from which later on, you know, once I had that experience, I can just pull from it immediately. So yeah, I would say, yeah, spend some time like noticing the difference between an E minor that sounds like this, or a C chord with E in the bass, which is very similar, or an E minor with that 9, which now has a different sound, or an E minor with a 13, which now sounds like a D major sound. So those are all different things I would consider.